Welcome to this week's astrology. And this week is big. Like every week is big in the cosmos, but this week is big because we've got the solar eclipse in Virgo, in a part of Virgo called Uttara Falguni, today through to tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. And the thing is, regardless of when that eclipse peaks for you, it will have this ripple effect, which will take us through for the next nearly 4.5 months. So, kind of to the end of the year. And it can feel particularly big through to the next lunation, which will be a Pisces full moon in Revati Nakshatra on the 7th to 8th of October. So just know, like, although we talk about it being the end of eclipse season, the energy still flows on. Now, why this particular solar eclipse is so big is it marks the end of Pitru Paksha, Ancestors Fortnight. It is today is the final day. It's the biggest day that has been building over the last 14 days, honoring our ancestry. And so you might find today there's a lot of ancestral karmic programming that's in the air that you're seeing in your family members. Maybe you're seeing it in whoever you're in partnership with, in your siblings, even playing out in a mirror of maybe something you've seen that's happened with your parents or your grandparents. It's a beautiful day today to honor your ancestry. For me, I found this a particularly potent time to honor those that I felt struggled in their passing. You know, maybe if you had a relative who didn't believe in anything, or you kind of felt like is stuck a little bit in between, this is a beautiful day to offer something on their behalf. And that might be an act of charity. It could be as simple as offering food or water to the divine as a means to give them the karma to move on to their next life. And knowing that whatever you give, you receive at the same time. Now, you can learn more about the eclipse through the YouTube video I did. It's just a quick little YouTube video on the eclipse portal. And if you want to go, I'll put the link below. And if you want to go deeper, I have the Virgo Solar Eclipse ritual and reading, which is now live. It includes a personal written reading specifically based on your chart for this eclipse. So it can be very helpful if you're going through it and you just need a little bit of guidance around what to expect. That ritual and reading also includes astrology forecast and a practice to help with relationship healing. Now, on the back, I think we've got like about an hour gap on the back of the solar eclipse peaking and the start of Navaratri. So it's like we come out of Pitru Paksha, we come out of Ancestors Fortnight today, we have the solar eclipse, and then we jump straight into Navaratri, which is the 9 days of the goddess. It again is going to be an energy that builds over, or the 9 nights of the goddess builds over 10 days to the 2nd of October, where the energy can feel particularly big. Now, that all said, this week, the moon is waning. At the moment, it's waning to Monday or Sunday, depending on whenever that new moon eclipse is for you. And then the moon will start building again. But while it's waning on Sunday, Monday, we're really in this world of like what's been hidden. Things can feel a little bit unclear to the mind. The mind even might feel a little bit dull. And it can be exacerbated because this eclipse is just bringing stuff up. It's bringing up the stuff that maybe you would just rather kind of like tuck away somewhere or deal with later, or maybe you thought you dealt with and then it's coming up again. It's that. And on top of that, the mind's almost like, enough. So just know that. Now, the eclipse, the Virgo solar eclipse, is going to happen. Yes, it will be intense, but it's slightly less intense than the lunar eclipse just because it's not aligned with the nodes. So for the mind, it's going to bring up less ignorance. And you'll notice from Tuesday onwards, there's a returning back to understanding, back to insight in the mind. There's also a really great opportunity this week to ask the universe for help with what maybe you've been experiencing over the last month or half a month. And that will be Thursday, Friday, when we have Vinayaka Chaturthi, which is the day we celebrate Ganesh every lunar cycle. If you learnt the Ganesh mantra with myself and Siddhi Shakti, this is a great time to do that. We'll talk about that when we get to the Thursday, Friday daily astrology. If you want a practice to work with Ganesh, it's still available as a replay, and I'll put details below. Now, on top of that, this week, the Sun is going to oppose Saturn and Neptune. Yeah. So I feel like the last couple of weeks I've been talking about Saturn and Neptune, and they're very much about the bubble around government, the idealism that we've held around institutions, particularly institutions that were set up by our predecessors, our ancestors. And what's happening at the moment with Saturn and Neptune together is it's like the bursting of the idealism, the bursting of the dream of democracy or the dream of capitalism. And so it can feel, as the sun will oppose these, it can feel like the purity of the sun highlights even further the things that need to be surfaced, cleared, and feel very impure. So know that whatever we see in government and institution lives within us. That's why it's there, because we're projecting it externally. And the more we can own it within us, we can understand it, we can move into a place of being able to help others. So let's start with today's astrology. Sunday, the 21st, it's all about ancestral karma. We have Shrada, which is the final day of Pitru Paksha or Ancestors Fortnight, which will start at 4:46 a.m. Today and go to 5:33 a.m. on the 22nd, Australian Eastern Standard Time. In Europe, where I am at the moment, it will start at 8:46 p.m. on Saturday and yesterday, and it will run through to today. So this is a culmination. This day is a culmination of the last 14 days of Ancestors Fortnight. The energy is really big. It's about ancestral karma, and particularly because the moon is going to be with the south node today, it can feel like there's a lot coming to light. There's a lot that you're seeing that has been playing out over generations that is actually there for your liberation if you can allow the mind to open to that consideration. It is bringing to the surface deep ancestral karmic energy around marriage, relationships, and partnerships that need to be released. It's also a date, like I said at the beginning of this video, to honor your ancestors, to help give them the good karma for a rebirth, uh, to wish them greater understanding in the next life and greater insight to deal with whatever karmas they might encounter. Now, the moon is going to enter Uttara Falguni, and that's where it will have its solar eclipse. And that will be at 2:03 p.m. today, Australian Eastern Standard Time, and 6:03 a.m. Central Eastern Standard Time, so the time for Europe, and midnight Eastern Daylight Time for New York. That point, when the moon enters Uttara Falguni, we're entering the timing or the tithi for the eclipse. It means the energy is going to be really big today, on Sunday, and even on Saturday evening in Europe and the US. And the moon today, like I said, it's going to be aligned with the south node. So you can find that there's this deep introversion, like introverted energy running with the mind. It can bring to the surface contracts you've got with people in the physical world, maybe people that are physically proximate to you at the moment. And it feels like this is a really big purging energy. It's really about letting go of a cycle in how you've been looking at relationships, marriage, partnerships, and anyone you've got either an energetic karmic contract with or even a legal contract with. That's what's coming to the surface. There can be a great or a really deep sense of deja vu because of the south node, almost like, here we go again. And you might not be able to place where that repetition is coming from, or that sense of, I've done this before and I'm doing it again. That's because it will be past life or ancestral. Now, just as a heads up, this actual solar eclipse, that will only be visible for New Zealand and kind of Antarctica. So that's where the energy will be of greatest focus. And today, Sunday, will really be when most of us experience that eclipse energy. It will be early on Monday morning for New Zealand, Australia, and India. but that will be when it's peaking. So it's really like we're in the timing for it right now. Added to that, today, God, there's so much happening. The sun will be opposed to Saturn, and that's because Saturn will be sitting in opposition to the solar eclipse. So it's really, again, it's about processing karmic energy in relationships. It's a day where there can be a level of seriousness, consideration. And even if something is meant to fall apart in a relationship, if something is karmically ready to serve by breaking, that can happen today, as well as the bringing together to create karmic foundations if that is what is needed. Just remember, whenever we have like a Saturn opposition like this, it's almost like a bulldozer coming through, and this is very much about relationships. So it's like that bulldozer is coming through to make sure the foundations are solid in order for something to go for a long time. Now, I'm going to talk when we get to Monday about this, but Mercury is going to enter Hasta, Nakshatra. It's still sitting in Virgo, and it will be in Hasta Nakshatra until the 29th of September, but I'll talk about that because it's going to be important on Monday, not so much today. Now, on Monday, the 22nd, the moon is going to be in Virgo still. It will be in Uttara Falguni, which is where the solar eclipse would have happened, which is all about karmic connections and kind of fated relationships. It will be there until 10:27 p.m. in Australian Eastern Standard Time, 12:27 p.m. in CEST or European time, and 6:27 a.m. in EDT or New York time. And at that time, it will move from Uttara Falguni into Hasta, and it will join Mercury. So we have Mercury, which is the intellect, joining the moon, which is the mind. Monday can bring up a lot of nervous energy. The moon and Mercury together, it's not the easiest combo. What's nice is that the moon rules Hasta Nakshatra, and Mercury rules Virgo. So we have these two rulers working together. So there is a way to navigate the nervousness of this day, a way to use that overthinking to your advantage. Just notice there can be a tendency to control on Monday, particularly if you've really been in that mode of surrendering and things feeling a little bit chaotic. You can find that the ego wants to jump in and find a sense of stability again. So just notice where you're trying to control, where things are a little bit too ordered, or even when you're interfering and you really don't have to. Notice also your inability to not trust others or yourself that can come up. The moon and Mercury can bring up really intense thoughts, rumination. It can make it really hard to land on one thought. And it can kind of feel like you're bouncing around and not getting an answer. This is a day where you want to just not meddle. I'll be saying like Monday, if you can, try your best, and it can be quite hard because of the nature of the mind. Try your best just to slow things down, to ground, and keep your hands open to receive. Because when we're meddling, very often we miss the blessings or the opportunities that are there because we expect them to look a different way. So just notice and be open to dropping preferences and kind of allowing the universe to present things for you. Things can come to you very, very quickly when you do that today. It's a day to kind of like aspire and be inspired and be creative, but be open to what the universe wants to deliver. Now, Navaratri is also going to start on Monday. And like I said at the beginning of the video, that's the 9 nights of the goddess. It's actually 10 days, but 9 nights. And it will start at 5:33 a.m., or the timing for it starts at 5:33 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9:33 p.m. on Sunday in Europe, and 3:33 p.m. on Sunday in Eastern Daylight Time, which is New York. Now, that means that from Monday, the energy is going to be building through the 2nd of October. So yes, eclipse is done, but it's not really done. So the energy of Navaratri is all about slaying the ego. It is fierce. It is a Vedic celebration of the Devi slaying different aspects of our ego over 9 nights, which culminate in a 10th day called Dasara, where it is about the victory of the divine over the egoic tendencies. Obviously, remembering that the ego is the divine. So it's a bit of a trip in there. Um, But my experience with Navaratri is that it builds in threes. So, like the first 3 days are generally a little bit easier. It gets more intense for the next three. And then the next three, it's full on. And the 10th day is normally huge. So, just notice if you feel like I'm all good post eclipse and then the energy starts to build again, just know you're not going crazy. You're really actually in time with the universe. Tuesday, 23rd of September, is all about releasing. The moon is going to move from Hasta. It will be in Hasta for most of the day in Australia. So just know that's all about keeping your hands open to the blessings, but it's going to be moving into Chitra Nakshatra. Both are in Virgo. It will move into Chitra Nakshatra at 6:11 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 10:11 a.m. in Europe, and 4:11 a.m. in New York. Some of the nervous energy from yesterday and that overthinking you can find while the moon is still in Hasta until that time I just mentioned can still be at play. Um, Now, while the moon is in Hasta, just try not to meddle. When it moves into Chitra, it can feel like it's more a time to release. And it's a day where it could almost feel like you're purging, you're releasing, you're letting go of what was coming up for you yesterday. And this can be intensified because today, on Tuesday, the sun is going to oppose Neptune, which means there can be this like deep sensitivity to your being, as well as a lot of ignorance. When the sun's opposed Neptune, we just want to be really careful with how we're using our intuition because it can be very easy to not actually see accurately what's going on. So just be careful of where you're drawing conclusions. You might not have the full picture at the moment. And where you think you might be using psychic perception, you might find you're actually kind of deluding yourself because of that cosmic mix up. Now, Chitra, when the moon moves into Chitra, it's all about creation. It's following what's true, it's about what's lawful, and it's very much about doing what is honorable. Something I think, we're all looking for at the moment. And I feel like collectively on Tuesday, there's going to be a lot that goes down around the legality of certain partnerships. There can be the ending of an alliance or something that is deemed no longer dharmic by the universe being called to be released. Personally, it can be a day where there can be a bit of destruction, but it's almost seeing how like destruction can also be creative. Like destruction allows creation to take place, and letting something go in order for the new to come in. Now, Wednesday is quite destructive, not in a creative way per se. And that's because we've got Mars being a really big feature of the day. Mars is going to enter Swati Nakshatra in Libra, and it's going to be with the moon, and it will also be square Pluto. So the moon is moving from Chitra to Swati. It will be in Libra, and it will move from Chitra to Swati at 8:47 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 12:47 p.m. in Europe, 6:47 a.m. in New York. Now, regardless of that, regardless of the moon moving from Chitra to Swati, it's going to be sitting with Mars, and Mars is going to be squaring Pluto. Now, Mars will be moving into Swati Nakshatra, which is a part of Libra, until the 13th of October. So here, there can be a sense of needing to act, of finding motivation, of wanting to move, of needing to be a little bit more impulsive than normal that comes about on Wednesday. There can also be a big draw to take action in partnerships that you've got with another. And that said, there can be a need to clear up because of the square to Pluto. I need to clear up where you're acting from old programming or from your shadow, blaming your partner for something that's actually your projection. This is a day where there can be a great ability for ideas to travel, to be disseminated. And you might notice that, like, your thinking actually feels very scattered, almost like you're being blown around. And at the same time, with that kind of like windy energy, there can be the desire to travel, to move. Outside, you might find it's a very windy day, representative of that kind of vata state of the mind. And I would be saying, just be careful of drawing conclusions again on Wednesday. It's almost like the mind's going out in all these directions. It can be hard to know what is true from what is not true. There is a big issue. There is a big focus on Wednesday around issues to do with worth, money, your sense of self-value. And you might even find that there's resolution around that that pops up. Added to that, it's a day which is very creative, it's inspired. It can have you really focused on your self-expression and using that windy nature to like scatter ideas, to tell people about what you're thinking, what's coming to mind. Um, and I'd be saying, funnily enough, under all of this, it can also be kind of a playful day where it's really a time to be creative, to not burden yourself with a direction or like one way of doing things, but to embrace all different paths, um, to find romance, to fall in love, to just enjoy the moment. Now, on Thursday, the 25th, the moon is going to be still in Libra and it's moving from Swati to Vishaka. In Australia, it will be in Swati still, that creative kind of diffusing energy for most of the day on Thursday. And it will move into Vishaka at 11:39 p.m. So most people will be sleeping and won't feel it till Friday. It will move into Vishaka at 3:39 p.m. in Europe and 9:39 a.m. in New York. Now, the moon is going to be with, on Thursday, is going to be with Black Moon, Lilith, Hecate, and Mars, still with Mars. So you can find that yesterday's energy carries over to Thursday, and it's a day where there's a big focus on what is true. Really going against convention to follow your own authentic truth. Even listening to your intuition, which can feel a whole lot louder than it has been this week, and deciding to take a different route from what everyone else is doing. Particularly, you might receive like flashes of inspiration or of what the future will look like or the past. Follow that, listen to it. When the moon moves into Vishaka, so for Europe, that will be in the afternoon, like I said. In the States, that will be in the morning. And in Australia, you really won't feel this till Friday, but it can feel like an inner lightning. And it might even bring lightning externally in the atmosphere. You can find that Thursday, Friday, you really notice that seasonal change, that shift that's happening. And it's really, Thursday, Friday is really demanding across the board that we make an effort towards what we want. You can find that if there's something you've been working towards over a long period of time, it actually comes to fruition. But just know today will not bring immediate results. It really is about learning to value things by putting effort into them. Now, what's beautiful about this day is Vishaka is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter's 9 houses away, which is its number. And so it can feel the energy of that moon moving into Vishaka on Thursday, but through to Friday can feel actually very expansive. You might find it's a time when really deep wisdom lands, like a flash of lightning running through the body. And there can be a call even to travel, to study, to learn, or simply sit with your inner wisdom. Now, Thursday also marks the start of Vinayaka Chaturthi, which is the day we worship Ganesh. It's the fourth day of the lunar week or fortnight. And so, say you get to Thursday and you're like, things are still a bit heavy from eclipse season. This is the day to invoke Ganesh, the remover of obstacles. Use his mantra. If you did the Ganesh Chaturthi workshop evening with myself and Siddhi Shakti, use those mantras. If you would love a mantra, we've got a replay below that you can access. Use that today. Ask for the help that you need from the universe to help you work through those obstacles, or at least have the courage to work with them. Now, Vinayaka Chaturthi in Australian Eastern Standard Time will run from 11:36 a.m. to 2:03 p.m. on the 26th on Friday. In Europe, it will run from 3:36 a.m. to 6:03 a.m. on the 26th. And in New York or in EDT, it will run from 9:36 p.m. on Thursday to 12:03 a.m. 9:36 a.m. to 12:03 a.m. on the 26th. Now we'll get to Friday. Friday, 26th of September, Venus is going to enter Purva Falguni. And Purva Falguni is in Leo. It's all about connections, about soul contracts, about relationships, and that is Venus's jam. So she's going to be there till the 9th of October. She's sitting with the South Node and she rules Purva Falguni. This is really good. We're really being given the opportunity to clear a lot of energy around relationships, and most importantly, the relationship we have with ourselves, because everything else is a projection of that. You can find that this brings up echoes of the eclipse from Sunday, Monday, but in a different way. This period, while she's in Purva Falguni, it's all about karmic contracts, marriage, partnerships, karmic energy that surround people you associate with. And today in particular, because of the position of the moon, so Friday in particular, because of the position of the moon, you can find there are important conversations to be had, negotiations, maybe contracts you've got to sign, or messages from a partner. Pay attention to those. Now, while Venus is in Purva Falguni until the 9th of October, um, it's very much about, you can find that she brings up desires to find a partner, to procreate between partners. So whether that's like a child or a project or a new business, she's looking to create. She's looking to bring people together to produce something for the world. And this is all about new beginnings. And that can be a new connection coming in, or it can be an existing relationship really opening up. The moon on Friday, which I spoke about on Thursday's astrology, will be in Vishaka Nakshatra. But because Vishaka straddles Libra and Scorpio, what's important here is the moon will be in Libra, moving into Scorpio. So it's kind of going from partnership through to this like deep feelings and intensity. And it will make that move in Australia, or Australian Eastern Standard Time, at 7:54 p.m. on Friday, at 11:54 a.m. in Europe, and 5:54 a.m. in New York. The moon's going to be sitting with Juno, Vesta, and Medusa, 3 asteroids. And this is kind of cool. Because Venus is entering Purva Falguni, which is all about relationships and connections, and the moon's going to be sitting with the goddess of marriage, Juno. Juno is also about loyalty and sovereignty, and kind of that energy of moving from what you need first in order to be in a healthy relationship with others. So it's a moon where the fruits of your labor are given in partnership with someone else, or through the partnership that you have with yourself, where you're moving from empowerment. It can be a day of abundance, of something that's taken time for you to invest in, which comes to harvest. And it's very much about being loyal to yourself within relationships, being honest about the boundaries that you've got, because that makes a healthy relationship. Now, finally, Saturday, the 27th of September, the sun, still in Virgo, but it's going to move into Hasta Nakshatra. We spoke about that at the beginning. And it will be in Hasta Nakshatra until the 11th of October. Now, the sun entering Hasta, it's going to bring a lot of creative energy. Now, it's still in Virgo, so there can also still be some nervousness. We really want to be caring for our adrenal system. And if we've already got like kind of a nervous disposition or an overthinking disposition, we really want to work to ground our energy. That said, there can be a lot of inspiration that comes on Saturday. You might want to use your hands to create something through to the 11th of October, or to receive what's due, keeping your hands open. It's a time where there can be a really big focus on money, material goods, and even your sense of worth. Pay attention. You might find that by keeping your hands open, the universe delivers something to you in that realm. But also pay attention to where you might have been playing a kind of a game around lack. Because the sun in Hasta can kind of fix that, or show you that there's actually abundance in everything, just not in where you've been looking. It's somewhere else. You can also think of this as a season to realize your own creativity, to realize the value of inspiration. Like, it's such a beautiful feeling to be inspired. You might want to use your hands, like I said, to like write or create pottery or art, or just be expressive. Writing a plan, drawing up an idea. Hands are really important while the sun is in Hasta. Now, at the same time, the moon is going to be in Anuradha on Saturday. Anuradha is still part of Scorpio, Anuradha Nakshatra. It will move there at 2:40 a.m. on Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 6:40 p.m. on Friday in Europe, and 12:40 p.m. on Friday in New York. When the moon moves into Anuradha, although Scorpio is very intense and it's very feeling and it's really not scared of going into the shadow. This is actually a very expansive energy because the moon's going to be sitting in harmony with the sun. It's a day that can actually bring a lot of balance to relationships, which we probably kind of need on the back of the eclipse at the beginning of the week, particularly the relationship you have to your parents, to your father, to father like figures, to teachers, and even to other seekers if you're in like a spiritual community or religious community or even like a study group. It's that type of energy. And it's all about respecting what is. Um, Not trying to change someone else, but just coming to a place of acceptance of who someone is or how a relationship is. You can find that there is equally an ability to be in a state of devotion that's very easy today. It's a day when the mind can feel really deeply philosophical. It's easy to see the bigger picture, to not get hung up on the details, which should feel really nice. And in fact, you can find that you're actually given the fruits of some good karmas today. Maybe also you feel called to engage with the occult wisdom, or to do something creative or expressive to almost like share that philosophical energy. And today is really reminding you of the importance of remembering your inner child, of remembering like that inner child knows the divine. It's that innocence that knows everything is the divine. So that's this week's wrap up. Just a heads up, if you want to dive deeper into the astrology, I will be back doing readings, one-on-one readings in October. I currently have my calendar open, so if you know you want to book in for a reading in October, I've got plenty of dates at the moment. And we can go deeper into whatever's coming up for you or provide a little bit of a Vedic or sidereal understanding to your life. Added to that, if you want to work with the moon, if you really feel that deep connection to it, the ritual and reading subscription is open. And that means you get access to every single new and full moon ritual and reading, which includes a personal written reading, astrology forecast, and sacred practice to help move you in time with the Divine Mother as the moon. I am wishing you a wonderful day today, and a wonderful week as you digest this eclipse energy.